Hello, I'm Janine Nodder, and this is Chatting with Janine. This week we're talking about getting poked with needles. No, not tattoos, acupuncture. And my guest is Dr. Andy
Not a
Wegman.
doctor, a licensed acupuncturist.
Ah, okay, my bad.
No,
well,
no.
thank you. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Janine.
I haven't done a show on acupuncture in 14 years.
Okay,
I figure I was due to have one.
it's time.
So the guest that I don't even remember her name, but she brought needles, and I had never seen an acupuncturist, knew nothing about it, and except that it was needles and needles hurt. So she said, "Well, come here, give me your hand." And I went, "Ooh," reluctantly, and she poked me, and I'm like, I didn't even feel it.
Yeah, I mean that's the most common reaction people have. It's a shame you have to call them needles, but they are. But they're not hollow. They're really hair thin, and it's not that big of a deal. Yeah.
Well, I have been to an acupuncturist twice, one for plantar fasciitis and one for a sore shoulder, and my wrist was also bothering me, and it did help.
Nice.
I don't know how it helps. Can you explain it?
I cannot. I have been an acupuncturist for 25 years. I can't give an overarching, definitive explanation for how it works. My best guess is that it does a really good job down-regulating the central nervous system, kind of gearing you down, like cooling one's engine. And by doing so, tissues relax, heart rate lowers, blood and body fluids move more smoothly. It sort of puts us in a rest and recovery state. And as a result of that, good things tend to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we have the brain sends the messages down the spine, and then it goes out through the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, to the rest of the whole body.
Yep.
I learned that from the chiropractor.
Yeah, right on.
And it's all, these alternative therapies, there's something to be said about them. They do have success, and I can attest to that.
I'm glad you had a good experience. In my experience, having given individually, at this point, I think the latest count was maybe 100,000 treatments over 25 years. Collectively, as a group, at the clinics we'll talk about here in a minute, we've given well over 300,000 treatments in 17 years. The thing that normally happens when people get acupuncture is they stop talking, and they close their eyes and drift. Doesn't mean folks always sleep, but there's, again, kind of a revving down of one's motor, and good things usually happen. It's not a cure-all, nothing's a cure-all, but I would say 80% of the time folks are getting somewhere between, they're finding acupuncture somewhere between somewhat helpful and incredibly helpful, and that's what we're always banking on, and why we as a group care so much about making it available as much as we can.
Well, yeah. I know you have a facility, Skyline Mall here in Merrimack.
Yep.
So I'm going to be stopping in to see you there.
Please do.
So a lot of times the different chiropractic practices will have an acupuncturist. Mm-hmm. I go to Spinal Corrective Center in Amherst. Let's learn to say correctly. Amherst. And she had one for a while, and he called it community acupuncture.
Sure.
And there's all these chairs that you can relax in.
Yep.
And people are going to sleep. I'm like, I'm a type A. I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, I don't sleep. Can I just read a book? So everyone else was sleeping. Thankfully, no one snored, and I would read.
And ironically, it's the same setup at our Merrimack location at the Skyline Mall. Community acupuncture refers to a couple different things, like you had experienced in Amherst, kind of a group setting. So it's not just you in a private room. You're in a room of various sizes, depending on the facility, with other folks in the room, which is really helpful in a lot of ways. Most notably, there's an understanding of what goes on as soon as you walk in the room. There's no, what am I supposed to do here? You can look around and kind of see, oh, folks are snoozing, okay. That type of idea.
In,
Yep. Yep.
So
Usually a
everything's
quiet
connected.
space.
Everything's connected. So you've got all those nerves. So if you have a problem in your foot, they'll put a needle in
Your
the
hand,
ankle,
yeah.
and then it's opposite sides of the body, right?
Oftentimes,
And just the limbs? Do you just
it
put the
depends
needles?
on the practitioner.
I mean, because you're in a community setting, there's certain you can't put the needles everywhere.
Well, it depends on the facility.
Do you go through the shirts?
No, there is no needling through clothing. Yeah, that would
Okay.
be a big no-no. Talking about acupuncture, it's really easy, or it's easier, I think, to talk or to speak in metaphors. And so I'm probably going to throw a few at you here.
Okay.
So there's no one monolithic overarching way to practice acupuncture. It's very similar to like picking up a musical instrument, a piano, a guitar. There's no one way to play that instrument, right? Or there's no one way to walk into a kitchen full of ingredients and cook a meal. There's lots of different ways to prepare even the same ingredients. It's sort of what it's like to be an acupuncturist. And if you're lucky enough to be able to practice for a long time, you develop different ways of approaching people with needles as your main tool. And so a lot of us aren't placing needles where the pain is. You're placing needles far away from the pain as a means by which to kind of jog the, quote, healthy side of the body to correct imbalance. May seem a little strange at first. Frankly, lots of people that we meet are surprised by that. You know, hey, it's my elbow. I told you I had a little tennis elbow going on. Why are there needles in my other leg? There's a method to the madness. And the best part of that is, well, your elbow's already hurting. Why do I want to throw needles at it to potentially irritate the injury? And it frees people up to do a little movement during treatment if they're not snoozing to help get things moving. Yeah, so there's a clinical relevance to it all as well.
What do most people come in for?
Great question. I'd say the top 5, the most common is chronic low back pain. The next 3 would be a combination of anxiety, sleeplessness, and headache/migraines.
Wow. Now, I would have guessed the headaches, but not the sleeplessness and anxiety.
Anxiety is very common, unfortunately.
Where do you put the needles for?
It could be, in our practice, we're primarily working from the elbows to the hands, knees to the feet. Often the noggin, the head, many times the ears as well. But everyone's going to get an individual treatment. What may be the best anxiety treatment for Janine may not be, the same treatment may not be the best anxiety treatment for Andy, and on and on and on. So there's always what's the phrase? A pattern differentiation, like trying to figure out what's the best recipe to cook in the kitchen for you as opposed to the person next to you.
Oh, that's easy. Get in the car and go to Los Primos.
Nice. Yeah, and so that's kind of the answer to the question. There are cookie cutter treatments, and there are many of them, but the best treatment is to figure out what you as an individual need on that day.
Interesting. So, and what is the education? What do you have to do?
To become an acupuncturist?
Yes.
You need to go to an accredited school of acupuncture, of which there are, unfortunately, a dwindling number in the States. You need to have graduated from the accredited school, excluding Florida and California, because licensing is a state-to-state endeavor. You then take a national exam for the sake of this conversation, pass the national exam, and then basically petition each state to become a licensed acupuncturist. In the state of New Hampshire, I believe it's still on the books that you need to have a bachelor's degree in something. And that's kind of that, you know.
So when did you decide to be an acupuncturist?
I decided to go to acupuncture school in 1997. I was on a trajectory to become an occupational therapist and met someone in prerequisite coursing that was there to prepare to go to acupuncture school. and was really kind of taken by, oh, like there's a medical system based on the I Ching and 5 elements, of which I was somewhat familiar. And yeah, that was kind of that. I stumbled onto it and ended up stumbling onto a vocation that I am just thrilled to participate in with people every day. It's endlessly interesting, and on good days you really get to help people quite a bit.
Do you call them patients?
I guess so.
Or clients?
Not clients. I guess patients is kind of a default. I call them people.
Okay,
And I'm not trying to be a wise guy.
Do you have any that really come to mind that they just had, there were a lot of pain and they went off?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like how I can talk without talking. I just use my hands. And
yeah, no, we're on the same page. We're on the same page. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of examples of that, and it's the pain that comes on very quickly and acutely that goes away most quickly. I think my experience is most people come to acupuncture after having exhausted lots of other options, whether it's in the conventional medical system or working with other body workers or whatnot. And it's the proverbial last choice, or it's the last option for them, or it's perceived that way. And so it's more of managing chronic pain as opposed to, throw the cane away and I'm all healed. That happens, but that's not as common as being able to use acupuncture as a tool in one's tool belt to function better and feel better and get to do the things that you weren't able to do before.
Is your clinic, you call it a clinic?
Call it a clinic.
Is that all you do is acupuncture?
It is.
There's other alternative therapies, like I had a woman on the show, again, probably 14 years ago, that she would massage feet. And
Oh, sure.
What is that called?
Reflexology.
Yes, reflexology.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, which is incredible. To answer your question directly, yes, we do one thing, we do a lot of it, we do it inexpensively, and we do it every day.
That's what I was going to say, that
Sure.
it's fairly inexpensive to go to the local community centers.
You got it.
But if you go on a cruise and they have an acupuncturist, it's very expensive. And why?
Yeah, I mean, I can't answer to that other than to say they have, what's the phrase? They have you kind of trapped on a cruise ship. So there's no other option for any other acupuncture. It's either choose this person or you're out of luck.
Well, it was there, it's convenient, and my shoulder hurt, so
Yeah.
I did go.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
went on a ship with my sister, and it did help. It did help my shoulder.
That's great. I mean, again, acupuncture normally helps. Not always, but it usually does a good job. I think the thing for the community, excuse me, I think the thing for the community acupuncture folks like myself in our group is that we care about making it available as a primary motivation. Our clinics are we're a nonprofit. And I mention that just to say it's a good fit for us because the first goal of the organization is not to amass financial capital. It's to participate in amassing social capital, to be a trusted source in the community, to be present and available in a way that is a bit broader than simply trying to charge as much as we can in the market for our services.
So it's more like a vocation.
It's a vocation for us, for sure. It's also, as you had asked a moment ago, it's our primary, all of us, all the full-time acupuncturists, it's our primary mode of making a living. So it's not a giveaway, but it's participating in an exchange with people that feels more fair and provides access to care much more readily.
So how many clinics do you have? Go ahead and take a sip. I know you have one in Merrimack and you have one in Manchester.
And one in Manchester.
Okay.
Manchester is kind of the mothership. It's a larger facility.
Where is it at?
It's next to the Aloha restaurant in the East Side Plaza, which is on right off of 93 on Hanover Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it like an old
There was
Mill
a
building?
Kmart. No,
No?
we were in Mill Buildings years ago.
Yes,
We ended
okay,
up
I
moving out
remember
of the
that. I have a
city
friend
center.
who used to go.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, other
I'm
part of
glad-
town now.
I'm glad you have one near us.
Yeah, we were really happy to land here. We were in Nashua for 10 years, kind of got forced to move out of that steady space, and we're actually really happy to be over at the Skyline Mall. And yeah,
How many employees do you have?
in Merrimack, it's 2 of us. There's Lauren, who is our full-timer down there, and I'm there on Thursdays. In Manchester, there are 4 of us, and we are open all day, 7 days a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In Merrimack at Skyline, we're there 5 days a week. We are actively hunting for another full-timer. Response, having moved in this past October, has been really excellent.
So how many patients do you see a day?
In Merrimack, let's say anywhere between 20 to 35 over a 5-hour shift.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. High volume, meaning it's not a one-on-one. It's not like Janine, as we talked about a minute ago, come on in and here's your room. It's a common space, and that's how things keep going for us. You can't charge a little bit for acupuncture, relatively speaking, and only see a few folks. There has to be a good number of folks to keep things rolling ahead.
If you get hungry, they've got Billy's Pizza there. You got some donuts going in.
Donuts
you
o'clock.
can do your laundry.
Yep. Pick up some cannabis
Yes,
next
pick
door.
up the cannabis, and then go
if
get
you
the
have your
donuts
card.
and the pizza.
Right, right.
And then also there's
Physical therapy next
Well,
door.
I call them the physical terrorists because they're all into that pain and torture.
Oh boy.
But yeah,
Right on.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's a nice group of business owners over there. Everyone's really
Yeah,
sweet.
I've been
The
there.
Eyeglass place, very nice folks.
I have not been in there. I should stop
Yeah,
in.
really nice people. It's where I got these glasses a few months back. Yeah, it's a good group of business owners over there. Yeah, it's been nice. It's been a nice landing. Yeah,
I run by sometimes.
yeah. I mean, that's
Okay, I have to ask about the mobile because our cameraman Justin, he mentioned the fish mobile that you have hanging from the ceiling.
yeah. What can I say? I mean, the environment of the clinic space is really simple. It's not as bright as the studio we're sitting in. It's a little bit more dim to encourage people to kind of close their eyes and concentrate on the inside of their eyelids. And so we've always had a couple mobiles hanging in the clinic space. One of those
getting
things.
very sleepy.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, it was sort of a minimalist choice to just give people something to kind of keep their eyes on that's not a television screen or, yeah.
When I go to the dentist, they have us watching puppies and kittens. They put
Oh, that's
there's
a
a
riot.
TV on the ceiling, and I watch puppies and kittens.
That's pretty funny. I hadn't heard of that. My dentist does not have puppies and kittens, so
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
So, and who makes the mobile? I know it's like a name.
Oh, yeah. It's a famous 20th century mobile maker named Flensted, Flendsted, Justin, for you. On eBay, lots of Flensted models.
On eBay?
I found them on eBay.
I'm not you have to bid, and
No.
Can't I
you
just get it on Amazon?
Maybe, I don't know. I've never searched on Amazon, but eBay has always been my go-to for Flensted models. So yeah, we have a bunch in Manchester and a couple in Merrimack that evidently Justin loves, so that's awesome.
I have a mobile hanging over my desk up in Concord. I'm a state representative,
Yep.
and they gave it to me when we went on a field trip to the top of Mount Washington.
Oh, cool.
They have that weather station there, and
Yeah.
there's people that stay, stay through the winter.
Yes.
And they have to go up several times a day to knock off the ice, and so we got to go up there too. And they don't tie themselves, which was interesting.
Were you there during the winter?
No,
Oh, okay.
we went up, but I'm always terrified going up. But I'm like, well, they go up every single day. I mean,
Yes.
they know how to do this. It's fine. We're going to go up. Nobody's going to roll off the hill and die.
Yes.
It has to happen.
Yeah.
But they gave us a mobile. The one,
Oh, that's
and it
cool.
hangs. It's really, really cool. It shows the weather station.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah.
It's an amazing facility up there.
So the people, I was going to ask, when you're looking at the mobile, do they ever tell you, do they drift away and go somewhere else, like in yoga? I used to teach yoga, and
Oh, cool.
some of my students, they would drift away. I'm like, I look at them and I don't know where they are. They're not here with me.
Drifting is common during acupuncture, whether they're checking out the mobiles or checking out the inside of their eyelids. It's just sort of par for the course. I mean, we get comments once in a while about the mobiles. It's not really a feature as much as, like, you know, it's the equivalent of maybe a picture on the wall type from our perspective. Just something to, yeah. It's a small feature of the clinic. The big piece is needles in, or, you know, making sure one is warm and comfortable. And
What are the needles made out of? Just
stainless steel. Yeah.
so that people aren't allergic to stainless steel.
Generally not. There is it's interesting you ask about that. There's a subset of folks who have nickel allergies.
My daughter's one.
Right, cheap jewelry, that kind of idea. So most acupuncture needles, most, not all, are stainless steel nickel coated. So for the folks who do have sensitivity to the nickel coating, there's an option for gold coated needles, which is not very expensive. It sounds kind of bougie, but it's not. And that's an easy fix.
How do they come? Do they come in?
The needles themselves?
Yeah. How are they
They
packaged?
come. They can come in different packaging. The ones we use are basically it's $20 for a box of 1,000 needles. That's the wholesale cost. The ones we use are packs of 5. So open a pack. I'm sorry, packs of 10. My bad. Open a pack, 10 needles. Sometimes you use all 10. Sometimes you don't.
And then what do you do with the needles?
After they're done, you mean? They all go into a sharps container like you would see in a healthcare facility, any healthcare facility.
Do they?
Not reused.
They're not reused.
No. All acupuncture needles are one-time use, sterile, one-time use disposable needles. That's been an industry standard for as long as I've been around.
Well, when the sharps container, what do they do with them? Do they?
You hire
Can they boil them and reuse them?
I don't know.
Sterilize them?
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume they get melted down, but I don't really know. I mean, there's companies, we don't need to plug our needle sharps rescue people. But there's companies who come and they'll take medical waste, of which used acupuncture needles are included. And what they do with them, I frankly don't know.
Do any of your patients flinch and jump and ow?
Sure. I wouldn't say most, but there are times where, you know, some acupuncture points are pretty sensitive, not for a long time, but I like to say when people ask, does acupuncture hurt, I'm always going to tell the truth, and that's to say, well, it's not painless.
Little pinch.
But it's not a lasting sensation. Yeah, you said it. Little bite, that bite should go right away. Some
of them, and then other spots.
Others you don't feel at all.
It at
Yeah.
all.
Typically, the closer you get to the hands and feet, the more sensitive.
That's what I was going to ask. You
Yeah.
know, what parts of the body were like the back? You wouldn't feel it as much in the back.
You'd probably not feel it as much in the
because
torso.
the nerves, if I recall, are not as strong in the back.
More nerve endings at the hands and feet, which is also probably why acupuncture points at the hands and feet have traditionally been used more. They're the sort of classic points. Yeah.
Do you ever put them near the eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Not often.
Ooh.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a first choice.
It's kind of, yeah, I can see, because you know how you peripheral vision, it might be weird seeing them.
Yeah, I mean, personally, when I'm near the eyes or the cheeks or the forehead, it's more for sinus congestion that's just sort of sitting there and not productive to be able to jog that forward.
What's the strangest complaint people have had coming in?
Oh, that's a hell of a good question. You know, on the spot, I'd have to think about that. I don't know.
And then the most common you already said was
We talked.
Headaches, anxiety,
Sleeplessness, chronic pain,
and lower
managing
back.
chronic pain, and then low back pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, the strangest? I don't know. You got me on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have about 2 minutes left. I'm out of questions, but do you have anything off the top of your head you'd like to share?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think we covered most of it. Yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of ways to talk about acupuncture. I think succinctly, if someone were to be considering trying acupuncture, I would say be confident in moving ahead because it will do no harm. You'll likely get a really good rest out of it. And more often than not, people find it helpful and useful, even if not for the primary reason that you may have come to clinic to work on. But it's extremely safe. It does not have to be expensive at all. And it, as I said, usually, if nothing else, you're going to grab a really good rest and feel like you've kind of rebooted your hard drive, so to speak. So move ahead confidently.
Oh, I probably should say, when I talked about the pain and torture from the physical terrorists, I've been there and they actually really helped me out a lot. So I didn't mean anything disrespectful. I was just picking on them.
Fair enough. Yeah. Duly noted.
Yeah. No, they're good people there. And thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to me about acupuncture.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And I'll be seeing you again soon.
I hope so.
And thank you for watching.